Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this panel discussion, just like the last, is something that we've been saving for the end. It's an exclusive finale power-packed panel, candid conversation with India's inspiring CEOs, tapping into the future of physical retail. And I'm sure you'd love, I can see by the number of you here, you'd like to welcome this panel on stage. So please do put your hands together for Chief Executive Officer, bestseller, Vineet Gautam. He's Chief Executive Officer, Lakme Lever. Please welcome Pushkaraj Shenoy. He is Chief Executive Officer, Infinity Malls. A warm welcome to Mukesh Kumar. He is co-founder and Chief Executive Officer, Nykaa Mans. Please welcome Nihir Parekh. Joining us online, we have co-founder and Chief Executive Officer, Omni Arvind Internet, Mukul Bafana. Also online and joining us, Chief Executive Officer, Select City Walk, Yogeshwar Sharma. And our moderator for the session is Managing Director, Retail Services, JLL India, Shubhranshu Pani. A warm welcome to our entire panel. Mr. Shubhranshu Pani, it's over to you, and we do have... okay, we've got Mr. Mukul Bafana joining us already. Welcome, sir. And we will soon have Yogeshwar Sharma do likewise. Over to you, sir, and the panel.
It's nice to see a semi-full house or literally full house just after lunch and knowing all of you are awake. Am I audible? Yeah. That's better. So it's, I think it's great to have a physical face-to-face meeting after long years of working from home. This last 2 years has actually made a lot of retailers realize that retail also needs a lot of omni-channel support. We were dwelling between physical stores, online stores, distribution channels, etc. And nearly all of these strategies got converged in the last 2 years. COVID forced all the retailers to look at technology, cashless, contactless, how to maintain products without touching, how to keep the customer safe, how to give the comfort to the customers that they are safe in a public environment. It taught a lot of retailers about what the real store size is, something which we will discuss today, of why they need the stores, what size of stores they need, and where do they need the stores. There was a lot of focus which we realized at JLL of the market shifting from only metros to tier 2 and tier 3, where our retailer friends kept telling that more business, quicker bounce backs, better profitability is present in tier 2, tier 3s. And some of our retailers, clients have gone to tier 4 and tier 5. We did get a strong sense at JLL that retailers want to diversify from shopping centers to an equal distribution on high streets. Because initially we were dwelling on the dilemma that is it malls or high streets, and then we came to the conclusion that both will exist. But COVID brought back the focus of the high streets and the importance of high streets by a strange way, because even a retailer who wants an ambience of a shopping center feels that high streets are better placed for giving the balance if lockdowns happen. So with these evolving thoughts, I think today's topic is cut out for us to see what's changed on the real estate, what's changed on the physical and online. And I think that I'll start off with the first thought which I have in mind, which is, can we just call it retail now? Because even if you see our logo here has again changed from IRF to omni-channel. I'm just wondering that, we started off with competing physical and digital, and we are back to digital and physical. Can we just call it retail? Because the customer is the same and he wants one vehicle and one satisfaction.
Shubhram, should I answer that question of yours?
Yeah, if you can. I don't know the answers.
I'll try to answer that. Yeah, I would say it's retail. In fact, if you look at a few years back when the e-commerce came into being, we were discussing whether the physical retail will survive or they will not survive. But today it's not surviving also, prospering is doing better. Second question about your high street and shopping mall, I have a different opinion on this. I may not agree to it at all. You're saying that retailers are thinking high streets are better compared to the mall. Maybe for a different reason altogether, because when there's a lockdown, malls are last one to open and high streets are first one to open. So that's a different scenario. So I don't think that's very logical to say that customers prefer. You ask a consumer, what does he prefer? He went to high street because there was no other mall that time. They're not too much, if retailers went to high street because they're not too much a quality mall or quality retail space in the malls. So it's a different reason that people went. I'm not trying to say that malls are superior to the high street, but in terms of experience, I think people generally have better experience. They come to the mall in terms of hygiene, safety, parking, the many other factors, which you will not be able to get this in a high street shop at all. The shop may be fantastic, but your entry,
Can I
your
just pass
exit.
this question to Vineet?
Sorry?
Yeah. High streets or malls?
Okay. So,
As a
sorry
consumer
to
and
spoil-
retailer, both.
sorry to spoil your party, but I think malls all the time. I think high street thought process is very short term. I think we don't open retail for tomorrow. We open it for many years. I think obviously the challenge is that the small markets don't have a shopping mall. If there was a shopping mall, the first
Absolutely.
intent will be to go to the shopping mall and open a store there. One is like-minded, I think the ambience and everything, but I think it becomes a destination. In our country, please tell me, and I am sure many other people are from many cities, tell me a proper high street in this country, except Connaught Place for maybe the one example.
You can count
right?
in your fingers how many are there.
Yeah,
The entire
Sector
country.
17, maybe one more. But they're no high street. They're not high street. They're not meant to take so much traffic. They don't have all the services. Even if you walk down to Sector 17, you can't get a nice restaurant or a pub or a cafe. So I'm saying there's no other choice. If you want to expand in today's time and you want to go into tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, whatever, the choice left is to have a high street because the malls don't exist. And a lot of places, the malls don't even make sense, the kind of investment, because the return on sales per square feet or return on what is a little bit of a challenge. But I think it will change very fast. And I think, I don't think retailers, I can say it for myself and many more friends of mine who I know, will still prefer a mall. If Mukeshji was supposed to opening a few more malls, we will definitely go there. But he's not opening many.
Shubhranshu, there's another reality I must tell you. With all this omni-channel, e-commerce, so many things there, we still see a lot of retailers, they want larger spaces. They have all the facility. Today you can do your shopping on a tablet. As if somebody said that, and you don't have this size available, they get some other store. That facility is already there. Why would somebody ask for a larger store? But that's not happening today. The lot of retailers, they're asking for larger spaces.
So I want to park this question for a separate question later, because I think that's an interesting concept which has again caught the momentum. Let's ring fence this question of that high street and shopping centers. What do you think about Nykaa? I mean, you know that there are not shopping centers are not there across the country in that numbers like Vineet was saying. So are you also having a focus on both high streets and shopping centers?
Yeah, so luckily, our starting point of thinking is e-commerce data. We're lucky enough to have access to, across the country, nearly all beauty consumers across every pocket of India who's buying with us. So luckily, we're starting with that. But our first stop was malls, right? When we partnered with a lot of the respected malls across the country, took spaces in them, and they were kind enough to give us spots. So that worked really well as phase one. But now as we're expanding much more, much faster, we're hitting that block that we're not getting as many spots as we wanted, both in tier one so-called high streets, as well as in, so for example, we're opening in Borivali, right? In Bombay, we're opening a location in Borivali. It's not a mall, but it's a decent high street. We think there's a good consumer catchment there. Our e-commerce data shows that it's going to be really good consumer catchment. So we're going ahead with it. So it's really data-centric, but as we're going into a lot of these cities, we are having to go beyond malls. We are going into high streets, or we are going into relevant street locations where you can find a good location. And then we're also supplementing that with enough digital marketing. And those tend to have slightly different experiences as people walk into the stores, because you have to drive the footfalls, versus in malls, they are doing a big chunk of the heavy lifting. So with a slightly different strategy, slightly different layout, different sort of visuals as consumers come in, is what we are playing. But we're definitely expanding across high streets for sure.
So just to catch his point on different stores and different layouts. So how has your evolution in Lakme been on the stores layouts, and how have you changed over the COVID period?
So Shubhranshu, we've been operating across a series of catchments, right?
Okay.
We run our operations in about 160 towns, and therefore, even in a city, right, there are at least 12 or 15 types of different catchments, and we are very clear that we are a neighborhood format, right? So when we run a professional beauty or a salon outlet, we are a neighborhood outlet, and we do not want the consumer to travel more than, let's say, 2 kilometers to come to that place. And it takes us about 8,000 right living standard measure or right SEC A+ families to make our store viable, right? So our approach and our strategy is a little different from the very typical destination format. So I think one, I also sort of, try and respond to the previous question. I think that question is largely irrelevant today. Right? What has happened in the pandemic is that your consumer has evolved. Evolution was happening, but it was happening at a certain pace, right? I think what's happening is that in these last 2 years, the world has spun much faster, and we are where we would have been maybe 8-10 years down the line, right? And it is the way the consumer values his or her time, the way the consumer values results, the way the consumer values experience, right? We use the word experience in a very loose kind of fashion, right? But for every category, what is your brand experience? And earlier, just to have a nice retail experience, which was clean, efficient, right, pleasant, I think was good enough. Then it moved to being a theater, right? So where you could showcase the discriminator of your brand and you could explore that. I think now it will become, if it hasn't already, and I think some of the leading players are already doing it, it is becoming a playground. Right? Otherwise, there's no reason for the consumer to come to a physical place, right? Right now, we are all sitting here, and we may think this is a physical conference, but if somebody is, sitting on their phone and I actually chatting with somebody else, so mentally that person is not present here, right? How many of you are from our generation where you would have seen this series called Star Trek? Has anyone seen Star Trek? Yeah. Do you feel that what looked like science fiction back then is almost there now, right? Except for digitization of the human body, right? Where people would go and sit on that, that disc, and suddenly there would be something spinning around, and he finds him. Except for that one thing, everything is real, right? So I think we are in a world which is in motion. The way people are using technology to consume experiences are dramatically different. So I think, as long as you're clear about your brand, your proposition, you can explode it in the high street. You can explode it or magnify it. Let me use a more benign word. Magnified in the high street, in a mall, in a neighborhood format. And today, more than, and I think people like Nykaa show this to us, it is segment of one, right? Segmentation, where you were looking at cohorts and all that, I think as a concept, it's dead or it will die very soon. You have to operate at the highest level of personalization, whether this person is in a physical place or in a digital space, in a physical space, but operating in a digital space like Vineet was just doing. So you should be able to recognize that at that particular moment, right? And do it. Yeah.
Principal hona chahiye tha. We put Mukul on the panel behind. And so hi Mukul. I think I just wanted to bring you in this point where we were just discussing that, that Pushkar Raj was mentioning that, physical stores and neighborhood stores, and then we went from malls to high streets. I think the question to you is, you being linking digitally all these formats for all the brands you work with, what's been your experience, especially in store locations, store size, and how the consumer is being serviced? And how you think it has changed over the last 2 years?
Shubhanshu, thanks for that question. We've been a very kind of unique vantage point in this digital and physical convergence, especially in this kind of pre-COVID, post-COVID environment. And frankly, this entire idea of what we discussed earlier about the second of one, or correctly, let customers shop on their own terms, right? Treat their experiences to customers on their own terms. It's a very academic kind of thought a couple years ago, right? A very small percentage of all the revenue for brand retailers stream to digital, and therefore it was discussed in smaller circles, but we never saw it kind of come to fruition in the kind of scale it has in this post-COVID world. So COVID has literally changed that a little bit among all of our customers, where because we've seen this large switch over of the revenue coming from digital channels, for the first time, I think there is a much more kind of thoughtful process going into the role of stores. Erstwhile, the stores were it for our brand, that's where most of the revenue came in from, and things were quite established in the way the store was decided what the store was supposed to do. Post-COVID, I think what we've seen is this very insightful way of looking at retail, and Ramji basically mentioned that it's called retail again. And the fact of the matter is, actually, that's really what's happening, is that there's no distinctions left anymore. A lot of our customers are looking at the experience they want to create for their customers and saying, look, everybody sees the digital. They know that they want to shop on their own terms. Now, the customers for the first time on the driver's seat asking you to provide the kind of shopping experience they only experience from Amazon people, right? That kind of seamless experience where you don't have to think about the channel, where you're ordering from. The fact of the matter is when I want, how I want the experience has now become the focus of most customers, and the brands are now adapting to making the store an integral part of the experience, rather than kind of having two separate channels where you think of store separately and digital separately. So a lot of our customers have really rethought the need for stores. Now, depending on where you stand on the spectrum, malls versus high street, small versus large, that's dependent on the brand and the retailer. But the common theme has always been that we have in the post-COVID world is that there is a re-rationalization of the store. Right? There is a need to rethink the store. Right? Should your store, starting with the type of stores you need footfall-driven stores, you need experience stores, you need pop-ups, you need flagships, you need dark stores, right? You as a brand are going to think about what that makes that to be. But more importantly, beyond that type of store, how do you start using technology to support inventory levels, front office, back office decision making, staffing, the role of the store, how that change, right? So all that is being re-rationalized as we think about customers that we work with. And finally, the entire mindset, behavior, and KPIs of the in-store operation, right? Depending on what you want to do for the store, you need to kind of rewire that store to think about how you want to serve customers. Like, we work closely with the team. They did a tremendous job of kind of evolving now over the last couple of years to change the way the store really kind of serves the customer. And that's exactly what is happening. This entire academic let customers shop when they want it, how they want it, is finally coming to life now in the store, through the store. And the stores don't go away. They become a very strategic asset in touching the customer, because of the proximity of the customer, because of the local proximity of the customer, because the touch is not increasing by the store. So it becomes a very competitive advantage for brands and retailers to tackle the purely only online retailing. Okay? So that's really where we see it going.
That's a great, I think, great new points which has brought on the table. And I want to just capture some of his thoughts. I think I got 3 questions out of his conversation, and maybe I'll just start with one. The types of stores. He mentioned, stores for footfalls, stores for connect, stores for touch and feel. So start with you, Mukesh. Do you think retailers are coming and telling you specifically that we need a store and we need to be visible, or we need, the purpose of our store is the XYZ or etc.? And then I think...
The purpose remains the same. Basically, you're here to serve your customers. What does the customer want? Today, it's evolved so much with the e-commerce. What do you want? There's so much of convenience, so much of comfort, that they want the same comfort when they come to the store. So when they come to the store, they say, boss, I want this. If you don't have it, get it from somewhere. One of your stores. Somebody just said about this, that, it was always there. But I think today it is driven a little bit more. So it's also putting a lot of pressure to the malls as well to get this technology so that all the retailers, they also are able to have omni-channel, which was not there earlier. today, I don't think retailers come to me saying, hey, boss, why don't you give me this? We are going ahead and trying to implement all the solutions. Because if you don't do it, somebody else will do it. The customer will go to that store, that
Sorry,
mall.
what type of solution are you implementing?
Omni-channel. Today, as I said, if somebody wants to come and he says, boss, I want to block a product before coming to the store.
So you, as a mall, provides that as a service?
Mall provider service, we do integration with the retail stores. We have been trying to do this for very, very long time, and I think we're almost there now. So that a customer, before comes to the mall, he knows what he wants to buy, so he'll block a product. He knows my specific purpose to go to a particular store or particular mall is to buy this. So he doesn't, when he comes to the mall or to the store, he doesn't want to get disappointed when he comes, he doesn't have it. So he'll check the inventory, come and say that it is there. So what I'm saying that these new things are coming up, and everybody, all the malls retailers, they're getting ready to serve to that customer
So
as well.
how many of you, of the retailers in your center are geared for this level of service or are ready technically for this level of service?
When we started this 2 years back, we had almost 60 retailers. They signed up for this. That means they uploaded all the inventory. Unfortunately, we had some bugs in the system. We couldn't really go ahead with that. But we did the trial for 60 retailers. But in past 2 years, things have changed completely. I think everybody's ready. Because they know this is the customer's requirement. If you don't do it, they will go to some other place. That means you're losing sale from that store. Number two, when a customer comes to the store, he buys a particular product, they also tends to buy something else because you're providing that experience to him. So he's not just selling only on a tablet or on iPad, also giving that experience to the person. So we have those different kind of stores what we generally provide in the mall.
Yeah. So just to add, at least from our perspective, we've actually created two different store formats many years ago because for us, we're talking to the same consumer who's online and also in stores. And it's definitely the same consumer because we can track their data, their consumer mobile number, and we track where they're going. And they're definitely buying across both touch points. So the biggest challenge or the biggest ideation was to add value to them across both journeys, right? So when we designed our stores, clearly there was certain value adds, including certain subcategories in which touch and feel made sense. So we doubled down on that. So again, adding value to the journey. Omni-channel sort of inventory availability was sort of available to us at that point in time. So the consumer had, but also the beauty advisor. As we started e-commerce first, we actually learned from the physical world, right? Saw what the HULs are doing, what the L'Oreals are doing, what is the physical experience in all the malls, and digitally how we can replicate or add value to that. And when we went reverse on that, like from e-commerce went to physical retail, we tried to incrementally add value. What was happening in physical plus what was happening in the digital world, can we provide all of that? Now what happened is a lot of the digital touch and feels across the last few years, even though we want to make it more metaverse type or digital friendly, all of that has been a little gimmicky, right? Realistically across most of the stores that you go into. The back end I think has become much more professional, but the front end consumer experience is still a little more traditional in terms of how it's been. I think the next 4 or 5 years with technology playing out, with consumers becoming more friendly with the digital world, how that merges with the physical experience, that is where I think physical will go in the next few years. And that will be the next customer experience that we're talking about. And the brands and the stores and malls who are able to bring that all together in a very unique way are the ones who are, and that's something we're actively thinking about, right? In terms of the next store we're opening, the next mall we're opening, what is it incrementally we can do step by step, which is still adding value. And to your last point, for us, all the stores need to be profitable. So the stores their objective is to sell products in the stores, get consumer footfalls to sell those products. Everybody has one or two of those flagship stores.
So you have only one type of store, which is a profitable store.
Yeah.
So good, I'll move to Vineet. Vineet, I think the question to you is a little bit tweaked on this. Again, Mukesh brought in one more new topic. And sorry, I'm changing so many topics. I thought many new thoughts for you will leave you more questions. And that is a better way to answer you, leaving more questions on your table. So Vineet, the question to you is, we went from one journey to the types of stores, to the inclusion of retailers digitally and the mall developer jumping into on the digital platform. And we already have Yogeshwar silently listening away to us. So first I'll let you answer and then maybe Yogeshwar can come in with his big smile. So my question to you is, you are present in literally majority of the shopping centers. This is the digital journey of the shopping center, which we just heard from Mukesh. However good, however, wherever it is, it's a great start from my perspective. How many of our developers are even thinking in this line and how many of them are ready? I mean, just as a proportion wise, I mean, are people really Is it really the in thing, or is it just the Yogeshwar and Mukesh thinking along those lines?
So I think I have many friends here sitting. Yogeshwar is up there on the. I think each of us role is very cut out, and I think we should remember that what are we good at, and I think when we start to have one DNA of the organization trying to do a second part of it, it becomes very tough. I think I remember during COVID having a conversation with one of a big mall operator again, saying we want to convert the entire mall into digital store, and I said, and we will do the fulfillment also. I said, but that's not your key DNA of the organization. So I think while you're enabling, it's fine. The moment you start to get into becoming an e-commerce player, that's when the challenge will start. And it's a very thin line, because once you put the store online, the next idea
I just
will
want
be...
to clarify, Vinitya, it's
No,
not.
no, I'm not saying
We
no.
can't be marketplace. We need to, whatever we have in that particular mall. We talk about a consumer coming to the mall. Before he comes to mall, can he get something before coming
No,
over?
no, Mukesh, I agree
I'm
for
not,
your,
there's no competition.
your
We
model.
cannot
I'm not
compete.
debating, but I'm
No,
saying
no,
I know.
in general,
You asked about
in
other
general.
retail, other
So-
mall
so
developers. I know a lot of mall developers that want to become marketplace by themselves, and I think
But let me just bring it back, focus to the question. The question is, the retailer has understood that he is a pure play retailer, has to provide things anywhere, anytime to the consumer, because of which he is gone something which is omni-channel. We should drop it after this conversation and call it retail. The developer has understood that he has to capture the consumer. There is a marketplace which is fulfilling the same needs. Like he requests stores not to have stockouts or not to have product stockouts, he also wants the consumer to know in advance what is available, and because of which he is wanting to do that extra value add to the consumer. How many of India's developers are thinking in those lines, and how many of them are even trying or have reached somewhere?
So that's why I said every developer is in some different journey. Like Mukesh's journey is about being an enabler and saying, okay, can I help the decision making earlier and get the guy to my mall rather than going to the other mall? There are people the other developers who want to become marketplace by themselves, and because that's where they believe they need to diversify the portfolio, the consumer is becoming digital, and many other things. But as I said, I think we need to know what we are good at and what we can be good at. They're very rare. Look at Amazon. They are the best at it. But they are not a physical retailer. They have few stores which are test market stores, and then they will evolve. The same thing needs to happen from a developer's perspective. You need to make a compelling reason for customers to come back to the mall and be there. I'll rather say the other way, which I said to a friend as a developer. I think bring all brands together, because you have the power of doing, what should I say in a right word, is how do you bring two products good from one brand and one product another, and give that to the consumer that, okay, if I go to this destination, I will be able to get 2-3 things together. I think being that enabler is good. If you're...
Again, you're bringing one more new topic into the mix.
Yeah, because that's what the mall's job is, right? It is about...
No, I said you're bringing one more new topic, because again, if you're thinking so the developer already has a responsibility of creating a sensible tenant mix to serve the customer. Is that what you're talking?
Yes, I'm saying do the same thing on the online space also. Rather than saying, okay, this is a Jack and Jones store, this is a Zara store, now you figure out yourself. I'm saying pick 5 products from here, pick 2 products from there.
So your suggestion to Mukesh is that you tell the consumer that you can get this profile or this experience,
No, I'm saying do
which is from multiple stores.
Do curated sales. They do curation. I think that is what the intent is, because once you have a multiple things, then the intent to coming to the mall is much higher, right? That is why does e-commerce do so well? Because they can get so many SKUs without physically putting it in a store. And same is true for us also, right? We are online, we are in a store, and I can get the multiplier effect of that. The same larger multiplier effect is available with the mall developer, because he's got so many other things. He's got kids, he's got baby food, he's got everything. So how do you curate that entire experience is what I'm trying to say on a digital
Can I
front.
ask you a funny question?
Yeah, you are running anyways.
This will add to the CAM. Are you okay with it?
We can discuss that offline, not on.
Okay.
I'm saying, end of the day, see, no retailer has a problem in paying money. We have Yogeshwar sitting here who charges the highest money in the country, but I think all retailers are happy with him, right? They have retailers, few of them only here, but they'll be all happy with him, right? Because you get your return. End of the day, he said it right. It's about making profitable stores. If Mukesh or someone else is able to bring more consumers to us, they get converted, they buy more, why not? We are anyways on revenue share, so I think CAM ka question आजकल खूप fast में हो गया.
That was the
like,
funny question.
Except Mukesh, everyone takes revenue share for us. Now he's also started taking revenue share, I think.
So just
But I have one more thing which I was saying. I think that metaverse that we've been talking about, and I think a lot of people, I'll tell you, Jack and Jones today has a virtual store where you can actually go inside and do shopping through a virtual store. You can actually wear a VR set and you can be inside that store. That's something we created because we realized that a consumer needs that. But I think you should realize that is your consumer ready for it? So metaverse is very good. I think the world is going to chase it down. But is that experience okay? I don't think he can do that because what he gives is requires physically to be there. So different product lines will have different. But the real virtual is here already, and and you should check it out. It's called Jack and Jones Edit Store. It's available on Jack and Jones Unmatched. It's a real virtual store from where you can shop.
No, it's super cool. I actually bought the Oculus for my daughter. It turned out it was only for me. I don't share it with her. It's so addictive, and the experiences are like amazing. So I'm a huge believer in where that's going over the years. So I'll end up shopping in your store at some point in time. That's the way to do it.
Great. So let's bring Yogeshwar in. He's been smiling and counting more of CAM. So Yogeshwar, I think you heard the points of views of Mukesh and Vineet, and we want to know how has your journey to bring the physical and digital retail in your shopping environment and try to leverage all the investments the retailers are doing along and aligning it with your investments. How has that journey been, and what's different you're trying? Because like Vineet is saying, everybody is doing different things. So we want to know what's it you're trying.
Thanks. Thank you very much for including me to this discussion. I'm really learning a lot, but now I have to speak. So one television movie, I wouldn't have this not the highest because the efficiency is different, and we do like conditioning, marketing cost, and thinking from that. And we do not have separate heads for all of these. The right sound is higher. It's all right. Now coming to the main point of what we are discussing today. Even keep our feelings aside, opinions aside for a minute. And if you look at the pure data, look at how many retailers are opening stores. Too many. Almost all retailers are opening, expanding, and expansion plans to opening stores. Look at how many times our frequency of going to do a mall has gone up, how many times we are eating out, how we are celebrating our vision. And we at one point we are underestimating the power of physical retail. Is that the power to influence the vision of the malls, of the salesperson or retailer, of the retailer is making such an impact. My majority of time, waiting time is in the mall, and I am surprised to the ability of the salesperson or the VM of the stores that every time is surprised. No? I mean, even if you look at our own buying patterns, we can't buy anything without the education or the help of a system. I mean, if I go to buy running shoes, every time my decision changes when I interact with one of the salesperson of any of the footwear stores. So physical retail is very strong, and it is showing in all the numbers what I have seen. Coming to the digital side, that's a reality, and it's grown rapidly, like from starting from
I think this brings us to Mukul. If I can see Mukul, is Mukul, are you online? Yeah, I just wanted to ask you about this inventory and live inventory model. I am sure you're a big votary for that.
Vineet raised a very, very important point, which I think we kind of sidelined. I think one we should probably, and then ask your inventory points or ask the board, which was, kind of everybody doing everything in this ecosystem. And we kind of, we raised it and we kind of went on to a different discussion, but, there's a very implicit thing that has to be said, that we have to kind of be on as various ecosystem partners in this thing called retail, that we have to start being actually very transparent and open about, which is, who should own the customer? Right? There is a very implicit understanding that we had in the past because we were working in physical retail, and we didn't really care about this, right? Because the malls thought that, we are destinations of entertainment, food, retail, so, we are bringing the customer in, we are driving that traffic, we're bringing destinations that we want to congregate. The brands thought they were doing it, right? Because obviously when you come to buy XYZ brand at the mall, you are driving that customer to come, right? And you are going to own the customer. Now in this new world where the customer, there is no definition of the channel and customer ownership is implicit anymore. We start talking about, how the customer matters. I think each person in the ecosystem has to start kind of thinking about how do I do my part of the puzzle and not try to do everything, right, in terms of own the customer. And I don't know if this is what he meant, but it's a very important point because if you look at the role of malls, if you look at the role of the brand, if you look at the role of a real like Omni, who's a technology enabler, or if you look at the role of logistics providers, CRM solutions, post-purchase experience ecosystem, all that has to kind of come together for the first time, which in the past we were not used to. Right? We were kind of saying, look, I'm okay doing the entire thing for my customer, I own the customer, I run the customer. But now in this world, even simple things to your question, Subhanshu, in terms of inventory, connecting of inventory, right? And the question you asked, who should be responsible for this? Should it be the brand who has to build a stack to connect the inventory and to expose the inventory in real time? Should it be the mall creating a layer of an infrastructure where they are able to connect inventory direct from the retailers? Right? Is it a marketplace who's actually doing it? Right? Because even marketplaces are now fulfilling from stores and malls, right? And creating this unified layer of inventory. Right? And so these kind of decisions today, we see a lot of different people in the ecosystem fighting over it. The brand has their own version of real-time inventory, the mall wants to get their own version of real-time inventory, the marketplaces have their own version. But how do you get a unified layer where we're able to own the customer, but still own different parts of the conversion funnel? So like I think Reed was saying, traffic, discovery has always been kind of the role of the channel, right? The e-commerce side or the marketplace or the mall, right? They are responsible for creating that traffic. Curation, right? Better curation, as Reed was saying. Can we do a better curation layer there? Who should be responsible for that? Right? The entire purchase layer, inventory, order management, right? Payments. Who should be responsible for that and creating an ecosystem there?
Do I get a sense that we are looking at a digital world or a physical world?
I think we all only are in one world, right? That is this world. There is no other world, right? Now you can call it digital. See, I think it's जिसको जो suit करता ना वो वैसा हो जाता है. Those people who are in brick and mortar, they'll say this is all retail because you can't sell online, so you have to call it retail finally because otherwise you'll have no business very soon, Subhranshu.
No, but I think this is an interesting journey, and the journey starts from where we were talking that we and them, and now we are saying us, and now we are breaking us into multiple layers, and again still telling we and them.
But again, I am saying it was. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I think, we should stop taking ourselves so seriously, number one. Right?
That is the first good.
Yeah, and I think, I agree with a lot of things that he said, but I don't think anyone can own the consumer. Just because you have a telephone number or you have, the IP address of that customer, you don't own that customer, right? There are so many people around here who will have your numbers, but they cannot influence beyond a point, right? And I think there is just one world, which is the consumer's world, and digital, physical, all these divides are in our mind, right? And I'll just give you an example. I think I largely agree with what Vineet said about our business, that we have to deliver the experience and the results in that salon, right? Or in that professional beauty outlet. But it is extremely important for us for some parts of the customer journey to digitize it. And not just do it because it's like, one good gimmick to have, because it has to enhance the result for the consumer, right? And I'll just take one part of the journey. We run a brand called Dermalogica. Are anyone familiar with Dermalogica? It's the world's #1 skincare. Yeah, Mihir, thank you for that. Mihir is one of the biggest sellers on Nykaa for it. And we've partnered for the last 5-6 years now on that. So it's the brand recommended by the largest number of skincare professionals, right? And largely Dermalogica was born for the salon therapist, correct? It has no business to digitize or to do a digital version of it. But what we realize is the process of consultation, the process of understanding the consumer's skin, the process of decoding that and understanding what are the needs by skin type, by season, by all of that, I think is really important not to leave it to the last or the lowest common denominator to solve that. Because all the results, all the experiences delivered there, right? So what we've done is we have used an AI-backed tool. There are millions of entries of skin types in that database. You do a simple scan, and whether you do it at home or you do it in the salon, you go through that process, right? And it's like something that takes barely like 30 seconds. At the end of it, it decodes and tells you what are the needs of your skin. And then basis that, whether it's a therapist or you're in a retail outlet or you're on Nykaa, you will get the rest of the customer journey, right? So it is a digital intervention which can happen in a physical world, which can be your home. It can
Enhancing
be an
value
airport.
at every step.
It can be an airport, and ours is a very, very physical business. It's a contact spot. But this enhances value to the consumer, and therefore it makes sense. If you were to put it as a gimmick, it may not make sense.
Shubhranshu, I just want to add one thing to this. I'm a hotel person. Let me just connect something here. In hotels, they teach you when we join the hotel, they teach you, try to call the guest by name. He feels good about it because he knows that he's been recognized. That's the difference between buying something online, buying something offline. When you go to the store, a smiling face giving you something, you take back home. If he recognizes your choices, you feel more happy. But in the digital world, in case you get to, yes, the site tells you, sir, you bought this earlier also. There's no happiness there. But if you go to a store or buy something, it says, sir, you bought the similar thing 3 years back, gives you more happiness. That's a basic difference between digital and the physical world.
With all due respect, strongly disagree. Because today, the point of one, every customer who walks into this e-commerce site.
As a consumer, of course, you have the strength. You have the strength because you have both the worlds.
Consumer, yeah. Just comparing both the worlds. Our e-commerce site is a store. The store changes for every consumer. We have hundreds of data points. And with that analytics, our site is the beauty advisor who will then advise that particular consumer and show them a complete profile, relevant products, Dermalogica powered or powered by a lot of data analytics. And the site completely changes every time a consumer walks into the store. And every time you buy again the site will change the next time. The store is a relatively static environment. Every time you walk into the store, other than a few shelves, the BA will do a little bit of personalization within a few thousand products. But again, the store has its value significantly, but consumer happiness on e-commerce today is also going through the roof.
I think it's good to have a fight. At least we know more questions.
No, I think, can I add one thing? I think we forget all of this, that there's one thing that has always stood the test of time, and I think people who are 50 years old will also know, and today youngsters also know. The customer is king.
Just note he called
End
himself
of
a
the
youngster.
day, the customer decides where he or she wants to interact and engage and shop. Till the time we start to decide that journey and try to make plans accordingly, we are going to miserably fail. You need to enable all aspects of your retail business, physical, digital, whatever we call it, and ensure that the journey can continue on the other side also. Physical to digital, digital to physical, and I think that's the only thing we need to do. Reaching that perfection, saying we'll be able to do everything for everyone, you will not do anything for anyone. And I think that's where retail businesses fail. COVID has taught us that. Many brands and companies who stood for everything are nowhere, and people who stood for something are customers appreciate it. So I think let the customer decide. We should ensure that we have enabled all aspects of our business to become physical or digital. So I think retail is retail end of the day, and that's.
I think they're brilliant points. Yogesh, you want to add something about letting the customer choose?
I am learning a lot, and I just want to say one thing that there is very, very there is no replacement of human touch and human interaction. This will never ever go out of business. That's my strong belief. However, like coming only to shopping point, there are so many occasions. Everybody has birthdays, anniversaries, and all that. So people want to go out, they will go out. Even if they buy online, they have to wear somewhere. No, even if I buy a dress online, I'm not in the city at home, so I have to wear that dress and come to the mall. And if you go down in the mall, you see people come dressed up. They want to show also what they have bought. So I am a strong believer in weekend order, but nothing against online. I mean, that is a reality. We have to integrate. But rather than trying to compete, I feel that we have to work on our strengths. Like we did the Diwali report, it worked beautifully well. We are doing this report, we are busy, people are taking selfies, taking memory home. So we take pride in being a big and model, but at the same time, never to undermine the efforts of online and the convenience, browsing, and so on. It has opened up the whole consumption theory of India. We were all talking about consumption theory for so many years, but numbers are not happening. But now numbers are happening. So that means customer is ready at the right price and availability. And e-commerce does that so beautifully. So rather than competing, I would love to embrace some of these possibilities so that we can also sell more, help retailers sell more, so that we can channel our interest.
I think I'll add one thing to Yogeshwar, and I think what
You
Mukesh
missed this point. He will charge more rentals.
Rent has no value. End of the day, it is decided the day the mall opens, whether you will pay it or not pay it, right? The vocation, we all know it the hard way now, and Yogesh also. But I think malls will have to embrace online, but just not saying we want to become digital. I think by providing infrastructure to become digital. Please remember, none of these stores were designed in a way to handle this kind of traffic of online consumer, because it's a big process. Today, I don't think anyone's retailers' stock rooms are enough in terms of handling. And I know I stepped into a store the other day, they had 100 orders from one of our online portals, and they just didn't have the infrastructure. So I think, how do we provide that? Because imagine the delivery boy is going to come and he's going to pick 100 packets from the store. And is it the right experience you're showing to the other customer who's walking into the store, where someone is carrying, and maybe a lot of time they are not the most dressed people. So I think, how do we create that infrastructure? I think the malls will have to find ways and means to service that. And also, I think sometimes I don't want to enter the store. I just want to drive through and pick up my packet and go home from a customer perspective. How do we do this? And I think that's also has to be embraced by the malls, rather than saying, no, we want to do it, but we'll not change the infrastructure. I think the infrastructure needs to be provided. I hope that message goes.
I think we have taken a lot of time. I would just like to sum up with 2 points which Vineet asked to Mukesh and Yogeshwar. Just give us a little bit more infrastructure which retains the speciality of the shopping center. One he said is that people can pick up. And second he said is that if there are a lot of online orders, we need a separate space to deliver rather than coming into this
Bigger stores are also okay with us.
Okay, so we're not talking on these topics, but these are 2 more questions and maybe thoughts for mall developers to provide us infrastructure. And with that, thank you panelists for a great session. Thank you Mukul, thank you Yogeshwar for being present online. And thank you audience for being patient and not being able to ask questions. You can take the questions offline.